Dr. Vivienne Kessler stood in the observation deck overlooking Novogenics's elite training facility, her keen eyes fixed on the scene below. Through the reinforced glass, she watched Chen, Corp-Sec's head of security, leading a combat drill with his most trusted squad. At first glance, Chen appeared unremarkable. Average height, athletic but not imposing, with a calm demeanor that belied his enhanced strength. But Kessler knew better. She had personally overseen his Evolix treatment 23 years ago, and his mind now radiated power like a beacon to her enhanced senses. The training room's massive space echoed with the sounds of intense combat. Chen faced off against 4 of his elite guards simultaneously, their movements precise and lethal. These were the best of the unenhanced, former Special Forces operators and combat specialists, yet Chen handled them with casual ease. A punch that would have shattered concrete was pulled just enough to send one guard flying into the safety nets. A grab that could crush steel simply immobilized another. Remarkable control, Kessler murmured, her mind brushing against Chen's consciousness. His thoughts were ordered, disciplined. Calculate force reduction to 12%. Target acquired. Adjust for Jensen's left side weakness. Compensate for Williams's speed advantage. Only Olivia Blaze, with her enhanced speed, presented any real challenge to Chen. She moved like lightning, her form blurring as she darted around him, looking for openings. Her enhancement had been one of Kessler's more successful treatments. Speed increased 5-fold, with corresponding improvements in reaction time and spatial awareness. Kessler's attention shifted to the other minds in the room. The unenhanced guard's thoughts were a chorus of focused determination and carefully controlled fear. Don't telegraph the move. Watch his center of mass. Faster, need to be faster. How does Blaze move like that? A soft chime announced another presence in the observation deck. Director Kessler, a young aide said. The latest enhancement statistics you requested. Kessler took the tablet without turning, her mind automatically scanning the aide's surface thoughts. Hope these numbers are right. Does she know about the coffee I spilled on the first draft? She always seems to know everything. Thank you, Marcus, she said, allowing a small smile as the aide startled at her use of his name. She hadn't been introduced to him yet. And don't worry about the coffee incident. Your numbers are perfect. She dismissed the flustered aide and studied the data as Chen wrapped up the training session below. 9,787 enhanced individuals, each one documented, tracked, and monitored. Each one except for those 5 missing doses, Beck's legacy, still haunting them after 21 years. End session, Chen's voice boomed through the training room. The guards moved to attention, their breathing heavy, bodies showing the strain of the intense workout. Only Chen and Blaze appeared fresh, their enhancements evident in their easy recovery. Kessler pressed the intercom. Roy, would you join me for a moment? Bring Olivia as well. As they made their way up, Kessler reflected on how far they'd come. The world's population had stabilized at around 500 million after the great pandemics and famines of the 2030s. Humanity had learned harsh lessons about sustainability and control. Now, strict procreation regulations maintained that delicate balance, while Evolix promised to elevate the best of humanity to new heights. Chen and Blaze entered the observation deck, their minds sharp and alert despite the training session. Kessler immediately picked up Chen's underlying concern. Another meeting about the missing doses. 20 years, and we're still searching. Your team is improving, Kessler said aloud, though they're still no match for your strength, Roy. 5 times the power of the strongest unenhanced human ever recorded. Yet you handle them like fragile glass. Chen nodded, his thoughts carefully controlled. They need to train against superior opponents to improve. Blaze helps keep them humble, too. Olivia Blaze's mind flickered with pride at the comment, though her face remained professional. Her thoughts moved as quickly as her enhanced body. Wonder if this is about the anomaly in Sector 23. Should I mention the energy signature readings? Kessler picked up on that thread immediately. Tell me about these readings, Olivia. Blaze didn't flinch at the direct probe of her thoughts. She'd worked with Kessler long enough to expect it. 3 days ago, our sensors detected an unusual energy pattern in Sector 23, similar to the signature enhanced individuals give off, but different, more complex. By the time we investigated, there was nothing to find. Sector 23, Chen mused, his mind already connecting dots. That's where Corp-Sec lost track of Beck that night. Kessler walked to the window, looking out over the city sprawling below. 20 years, she said softly. 5 doses of Evolix disappeared into the night. We've tested every enhanced signature we've found, documented every legitimate treatment. 9,787 enhanced individuals, all accounted for. Except for those 5 doses. She turned back to them. But what if we've been thinking about this wrong? We've been looking for 5 separate enhanced signatures. What if they're not separate at all? Chen's mind raced with the implications. Multiple doses in one subject. The cellular degradation alone should have... Exactly, Kessler cut in, responding to his unspoken thought. Every trial subject who received multiple doses suffered catastrophic breakdown. It's why we implemented the 1-dose limit. But Beck worked in our labs for years, cleaned our rooms, listened to our conversations. What if he learned something we missed? You think someone survived multiple doses? Blaze's thoughts spun through possibilities faster than most could comprehend. The power level would be unprecedented. And potentially undetectable by our standard scanning methods, Kessler added. Our detection systems are calibrated for known enhancement patterns. Multiple doses could create something entirely new, something that could hide in plain sight. Chen's mind filled with memories of that night 20 years ago. The storm, the chase, the final confrontation. Beck wasn't working alone, he said. He had help, medical help. Dr. Lenore Calloway? Kessler nodded. She disappeared the same night. Her enhanced mind could have figured out a way to make multiple doses viable. And if she did... Chen's thoughts darkened. We should have pursued her more aggressively from the start. You know why we couldn't, Kessler said, picking up the frustration in his mind. The Calloways aren't just aristocrats, they're kingmakers. Lenore's father, Edmund Calloway, practically wrote the Enhancement Regulation Act. Half the senior board members owe their positions to Calloway family connections. Blaze's mind raced through what she knew of the family history. The Calloways survived the population collapse by converting their old money into control of the remaining agricultural zones. They've had their hands in every major policy decision since. Precisely, Kessler responded to Blaze's thoughts. Edmund Calloway made it clear that any action against his daughter would have severe consequences for Novogenics. Even Sterling Hawthorne won't risk antagonizing him. Her lips curved in a bitter smile. It's ironic. The very family that helped us establish control over Evolix distribution might have helped create the biggest threat to that control. But surely, after 20 years, Chen began. The Calloway influence hasn't diminished, Kessler cut him off. If anything, it's grown stronger. They're one of the few families wealthy enough to afford enhancement, but who've publicly refused it on ethical grounds. It's given them a unique position of trust with both the enhanced elite and the unenhanced masses. And Lenore knows it, Kessler thought to herself. She's using her family's protection to operate right under our noses, hidden behind a web of influence we dare not disturb. She let the thought hang in the air, but their minds all completed it. Somewhere out there, someone might exist with powers beyond anything they'd engineered. Someone who could hide from their best detection methods. Someone who might have spent 20 years learning to control abilities they'd never thought possible. Increase surveillance in Sector 23, Kessler ordered, but quietly. If there is someone out there with multiple enhancements, we don't want to alert them. They've managed to stay hidden this long for a reason. As Chen and Blaze left to implement her orders, Kessler remained at the window. Her enhanced mind reached out, scanning the countless thoughts that filled the city below. Somewhere out there, she knew, was the key to humanity's next evolution. Not the careful, controlled steps they'd designed, but something wild and free, something that had slipped through their fingers 20 years ago. "Where are you?" she wondered, her thoughts echoing into the void. "What have you become?" In the training room below, the elite guards were cleaning up, their minds focused on their aches and plans for the evening. None of them knew they were practicing for a confrontation with something beyond their comprehension. Something that might have evolved beyond anyone's ability to control. Kessler smiled faintly. After all these years, Beck's final act might prove to be more revolutionary than anyone had imagined. The question wasn't just whether his child had survived, it was whether their carefully constructed system of controlled evolution could survive what that child might become. The sun was setting over the city, casting long shadows from the Novogenics Tower. Somewhere in those shadows, 20 years of careful evolution might be about to meet its greatest challenge. And Vivienne Kessler intended to be ready when it did. "There's something else you need to see," Kessler said, her tone shifting to one of calculated precision. She pressed her palm against a hidden biometric scanner, and a section of the observation deck's wall slid away to reveal a weapons vault. "Our R&D division has been busy." Chen and Blaze followed her into the vault, their minds registering the array of sophisticated weaponry with professional interest. The vault's sterile white walls were lined with devices that seemed to defy conventional military design. "Neutralization tech," Kessler explained, lifting what looked like a sleek rifle. "This is the EN1 series, Enhanced Neutralizer. It generates a localized field that temporarily disrupts the neural pathways Evolix creates. Think of it as a targeted EMP for enhanced abilities." She handed the weapon to Chen, whose enhanced strength could feel the unusual weight distribution. His tactical mind immediately began assessing its capabilities. Balanced for quick target acquisition. Integrated targeting system. Power source seems conventional, but the emission array is like nothing I've seen. "It won't cause permanent damage," Kessler continued, picking up on their unspoken concerns. "But it will render any enhanced individual effectively normal for approximately 30 minutes. Long enough to subdue them." She turned to Blaze. "Olivia, try to run." Blaze raised an eyebrow but complied. As she attempted to activate her enhanced speed, Kessler pulled the trigger. A barely visible pulse rippled through the air. Blaze suddenly stumbled, her movements jarringly normal. "Fascinating," Blaze gasped, her thoughts churning with the strange sensation of being cut off from her enhancement. "It feels like trying to run underwater." "The effects are more severe on multiple abilities," Kessler said meaningfully. She moved to another display case, revealing what looked like sophisticated combat armor. "This is the Guardian series. designed to give our unenhanced officers a fighting chance. Impact redistribution, neural enhancement links, and built-in countermeasures against known enhanced abilities. Chen's mind was already calculating deployment scenarios. How many units do we have? Full production begins next week. I want your elite squad equipped and trained within the month. Kessler's voice hardened. The energy signature Olivia detected in Sector 23 wasn't an anomaly. Our deep scan satellites have picked up similar readings in other sectors. Gone before we can triangulate. They're getting bolder or less careful. Either way, we need to be ready. She activated a holographic display showing a map of recent anomalies. Whatever's out there, whether it's Beck's child or something else, it's evolving. The signatures are getting stronger, more complex. If someone has indeed survived multiple doses, they could be reaching ability thresholds we've never encountered. We can't afford to wait any longer. Blaze, still shaking off the effects of the neutralizer, studied the map. These patterns, they're not random. It's like they're testing boundaries, learning our response times. Exactly, Kessler said grimly. Which means we're not just looking for them. They're studying us. I want every Corp-Sec officer trained on the EN1 series, full Guardian series deployment to all rapid response teams. Whatever's out there, it's been 20 years in the making. We need to be ready when it finally shows itself. Chen's mind was already formulating training protocols, but Kessler picked up an undercurrent of concern. You're worried about collateral damage in populated areas, she said. The worker districts are densely packed, Chen replied. If we're dealing with someone this powerful, a confrontation could be catastrophic. Which is precisely why we need these weapons, Kessler said. Conventional tactics against an enhanced individual usually end in wholesale destruction. The EN1 series gives us precision, containment, the ability to end a confrontation quickly and cleanly. She returned the neutralizer to its case, her mind reaching out to brush against the countless thoughts flowing through the city beyond the vault. We've spent 20 years wondering what happened to those 5 doses. I suspect we're about to find out. And when we do, I want every Corp-Sec officer ready to face something beyond anything we've planned for. As if to emphasize her point, an alert pulsed on the holographic display. Another anomalous energy signature, this time in Sector 19, already fading. The game of cat and mouse that had begun in a storm 20 years ago was entering its final phases. And this time, Kessler intended to be the cat. Begin the training immediately, she ordered. Full tactical integration within 30 days. Whatever's out there, it's done hiding. And so are we.